2, 3, 4. Hey, my name's Kevin. Welcome back. I even let my hair down for you guys today. I wanted to talk about some of my favorite chords. So I was on a Zoom call the other day with one of my students and they said, hey, what is one of your favorite chords to play? So my answer was, well, I love the major 7 chord, but it made me think I have a bunch of chord shapes that I really enjoy playing, and they really kind of spice up and add some color to the uke. So we're going to talk about 5 of my favorite chord types today. I'm going to show you how to play them and just give you some more information about where you can use them and insert them into your playing. So get yourself tuned up and let's get started. Hey, before we get started, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and click that alert bell so you know when the next video is coming your way. If you're interested in more learning resources, head over to allforuke.com where we have a full searchable library of songs, song sheets, practice tracks, worksheets, and more. All for you, allforuke.com. Number 1. So to kick it off here, we're going to start with one of my favorites, and this is the major 7 chord. So to put a major 7 chord together, you use the 1st, the 3rd, the 5th, and the 7th degree of the major scale. Now I have a whole video about chord formulas and actually a whole series about it. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to learn more about how to construct chords, because we're going to talk about scale degrees quite a bit today. So the major 7 chord sounds like this. And this is a C major 7 chord here. I'm just playing with my index finger on the A string of the 2nd fret. And what you'll notice about this chord is the very kind of open, dreamy quality to it. So, very different than a dominant 7 chord. The major 7 chord has this nice dreamy context to it. So when you play it, you just hear that open, dreamy sound to it. So there's a lot of different major 7s you can play, but I'll just give you a couple examples here and I'll leave more on the PDF that we have on the website. A G major 7 you could play right here by barring the bottom 3 strings of the 2nd fret. So there's a couple examples of a major 7 chord. You might just want to take this and go back and forth. C major 7, G major 7. Nice little chord progression there. So where you might insert these chords into your playing, you can always substitute the 1st and the 4th chord of a key with a major 7 chord. So if you're writing a chord progression or playing a song, major 7's a good substitute chord to kind of add that dreamy context. So first chord is a major 7. Number 2. So number 2, we're going to keep with the 7th chord theme, but we're going to do this one as a dominant 7. So you guys have all played dominant 7 chords before because you've probably played the G7, the D7, the E7, all very cool chords, and they're very functional in the key because they provide a lot of tension when you're playing. So the dominant 7 chord is one of my favorites because I know that if I want to create a tense moment in my chord progression where something is going to want to resolve, I can always insert this dominant 7 chord. It really functions well if you use it as the 5th chord in the key. So I'll also leave the key chord chart as a link in the description. You can check that out and show you where you actually use these chords. So the dominant 7 chord again, a couple different shapes you can use if you've never played them before is the G7 here. We have the E7, we have the D7, and we even have a C7 down here. So if you'll notice the difference, this one sounds a lot more tense than the other 7 chord I just talked about, which was the major 7. So here's the difference between C major 7, dreamy, and C dominant 7, very tense. So 2 different contexts there with a very similar chord, totally different style. So number 2, the dominant 7. Number 3. What you heard there was a minor 7 chord. So to make a minor 7 chord, use the 1st, the flat 3rd, the 5th, and the flat 7th degree of the scale. So it's technically a dominant 7 chord, but played as a minor chord versus the chord we just talked about, which was just a major dominant 7. This is a minor dominant 7. To play this, you can actually just bar the entire 4 strings and play it anywhere on the neck, and you're playing minor 7 chords. So down here, we have B minor 7 on the 2nd fret, or C minor 7 on the 3rd, or D minor 7 on the 5th. So what you'll notice about this chord is it does have that same tension as the dominant 7, but because it's a minor, it sounds a little bit more somber, so it's kind of one of those chords that can function as sort of a little tense, but also kind of just as a minor chord too. So you can substitute this for the 2 and the 3 chord in the key, or even the 6 chord in the key if you're writing a chord progression. So chord number 3 is the minor 7. Try to add a little flavor to your playing. If you're digging the sound of my uke, head over to allforuke.com/shop. You can have a Kala ukulele for yourself. When you buy your Kala ukulele through All for Uke, you're supporting us, and we really appreciate it. Make sure you check it out. Concerts, sopranos, tenors, baritones, a wide selection of accessories, capos, and more. All for you, allforuke.com/shop. Number 4. Well, you're probably still wondering what that chord I was playing at the beginning of the video was. Well, if you were wondering, it is a minor 9 chord. So the minor 9 chord is similar to a minor 7 chord. Same formula as the minor 7 chord, except that you add the 9 on top, which is also the 2nd degree of the scale. So the formula is 1, flat 3, 5, flat 7, and 9. I don't know why I remember that, but it's really helpful. So the minor 9 chord is cool, and you can play it here. I'm going to show you this shape. It's a little bit of a finger bender, but I use my middle finger on the 3rd fret of the G string, index on the 1st fret of the C string, pinky on the E string of the 4th fret, and ring finger on the 3rd fret of the A string. So this would be a B flat minor 9. So you have your B flat chord here. Well, that's a major chord. B flat minor here, but if you take this contorted hand shape here, you can turn this into a minor 9. I was playing around with it a little bit. Might be a fun one to add a little finger picking pattern to, or just strum away. So we have it here as B flat. If I shift this over 2 frets to have my middle finger on the 5th fret and maintain that same chord shape, there's a C minor 9. So you have your C minor, and then you can have the C minor 9. So this is a good substitute for your minor chords or your minor 7 chords. The 9 chord I really like because it has that 2 in there, and that really adds kind of sort of a little bit of tension to it, but not so much as a dominant 7. So this is a really functional chord to kind of add some dreamy quality in the minor sense. So the minor 9 chord, number 4, it's a good one. Try to add it to your next progression. Number 5. Number 5 is the suspended 4 chord. So the way that you play a suspended 4 chord is with the 1st, the 4th, and the 5th degree of the scale. Typically, with a suspended chord, you omit the 3, and that's what kind of gives it that undefined type of sound. So an example of a sus4 chord is right here by playing open G, open C, and then 1st fret of the E string, 3rd fret of the A string, and that sounds like this. So it has a sense of unresolved, which means that it's a good use when you take this chord and put it before a resolution. So let's say we're trying to play something in C. That sounds like this, very resolved. But if I were to take this sus4 chord and play it before it, it feels like it's going somewhere. And that's the purpose of this chord, is to give you kind of a sense of movement so that when you want to land on that C chord, the sus4 works really nicely in that place. So another place that you could use this here, I'll take it up here to a D bar chord here on the 7, 6, 5, 5, starting on the G string, using that major bar chord shape. To make this into a sus4 chord, all I have to do is I take my pinky, slide it in here to the 7th fret of the C string, and when I play this, it creates that suspended 4 chord again, so that when I play back and forth here, I'm just going to take my pinky on and off. Now listen to the difference between when I have the chord suspended and when I resolve it just to the regular D chord. So I'll start with the suspended, and then to the regular major chord. I'm just changing one note. But it creates that sense of movement. So these are nice chords to add in. When you're using major chords, using a nice suspended chord really just kind of makes it a little bit more interesting, and it's just typically going to be one note that you add on to your chord to turn it into a suspended chord. So try the suspended chord with C, D, E, try it in different keys, add it to just some of your major chords and see how it feels. So today we talked about 5 of my favorite chords. I have others, and maybe I'll make another video going forward if you guys dig this one. If you guys have any questions or comments about these chords, leave them in the comments below. I love hearing from you guys. Let me know where you're playing your ukes around the world. My name's Kevin. I thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to head over to allforuke.com. I have a PDF put together with some exercises to use these chords. I'll see you next time, guys. Thank you so much for learning with me.
Let's get carried away.